38. So we have a method which appears in a class other than value. It is intended to sum all the num instance variables of the value objects in the ArrayList parameter. So here's the ArrayList parameter. So we have this this array list called ValueList, which is an array list containing value objects. In other words, all these objects are representatives of the value class. Note how the value class has this method called getNum, which returns its class member num. Then we have the total 0, which presumably that's what the total of our sum will be added into, and that is what will be returned. So out of these 3 pieces of code, which of these 3 pieces, could be one of them, could be all of them, could be inserted into missing code so the code works as intended? Well, let's just take them one at a time. So int x is declared to be 0. Okay, that looks good. And x is less than value list dot size. Well, yeah, I mean that is the correct way of getting the number of elements in the list. And we're going to increment by 1. That looks perfect. And for each of those objects in value list, we're going to get that. We're going to get the object at that index position, and we're going to call its getNum method. Well, that sounds just fine, because this says get the object at index position x, and then call the getNum method on that object, which those objects do have a getNum method because value list contains value objects. I mean, this seems completely fine. So one works. Question 2, or part 2, this is an enhanced for loop. So this is taking an object called v. An object v is a value object, and it will take on the reference of each of the objects in value list one at a time. And then for each of those objects, we're going to call the getNum method on that object. That seems completely fine, because v represents a value object, and a value object, as we can see up here, does have a getNum method, so that it's totally fine to do that. I don't see any problem with this at all. And then part 3, value v in value list, and we are incrementing total by getNum v. This is not correct syntax. Well, first of all, the getNum method does not even accept a parameter, so clearly that's not correct. And getNum is an object method, so it has to be called by an object. In other words, it should be v.getNum. So 1 is fine, 2 is fine, 3 doesn't work. So the correct answer here is answer choice 1 and 2. So that's D. Answer choice D.